What's up, guys? My name is John Hawes, RNCCRN with NRSNG.com, where our goal is to give you the tools and the confidence that you need to succeed in nursing school, on the NCLEX, and in your life as a nurse. To help you succeed on this journey, we've created weekly cheat sheets that we send to you every single Friday. To sign up, head over to NRSNG.com/freebies. That's NRSNG.com/freebies. And every single Friday, we'll send you a cheat sheet on pediatrics, OB, med-surg, mental health, ICU, critical care, every single aspect of nursing care to help you succeed. That's NRSNG.com/freebies. All right, now let's roll into the show.
What's up, everybody? This is Katie Kleber here. Welcome to the podcast. Today, we're going to talk about nursing school tests and how to prepare for them. Why the heck do we need a podcast about this in the first place? They're just tests. Katie, come on. No, nursing school tests are actually pretty different than other majors or prerequisite courses. Not only is there a lot of information to cover, but you're also simultaneously trying to remember information for 3 other tests just that week. You know, so let me just tell you a normal week in nursing school. I'd have maybe a little quiz, small quiz on Monday, a medication quiz on Wednesday, a paper or clinical paperwork due Thursday, a large exam Friday morning, and then I'm also expected to have the reading done for going over the next section Friday afternoon. That's a lot of information to juggle and learn and be tested on at once. You got to have a way to go about tackling this so you don't find yourself totally overwhelmed and constantly behind. But let me tell you, it is conquerable, it is doable, and I'm just going to go over a couple very, very practical, applicable things that you can do today that will help you become more prepared for these tests and less overwhelmed in general, so hopefully you can perform better. So let's go through these. My first thing is to lay out what's expected of you. So this is what I would do at the beginning of every semester. So I went to school full time as a BSN on campus. I think I had 3 or 4 classes at once or something. All nursing school classes. So what I would do is I would take all my syllabi, get them in front of me, and one by one I would go through them and put all of the due dates that were listed on the syllabus into a calendar I looked at daily. And then I also created a to-do list of all the exams, papers, deadlines, and I put it on my wall. So I had it in 2 spots. So that enabled me to look at exactly what I had to do over the semester during the various weeks and when they were due. And then it also gave me this thing to check off as I got through the semester, on my wall, which gave me kind of this sense of accomplishment, I guess. You know, any little bit of encouragement helps. But what that does, when you can take all of those syllabi together and compile them, you know, you're not just looking at one class at a time, you're looking at everything that's expected of you and how they run into each other. Because not all professors talk and say, hey, I've got to test this day and I've got to test this day, so let's coordinate so they're not tested at the same time. Like, that doesn't always happen. There were times where I would have a paper due the week of clinical paperwork, the week of large exams and a couple med quizzes, and it was like I felt like every day of the week I was having some serious test in nursing school. And if I didn't plan my studying, like, those are not exams you can test the night or study the night before. You know, that's how I had been working through nursing school, was really just studying the night before, like my prerequisites. I'd study the night before or maybe 2 nights before, kind of casually. And that would be enough to get by, but not in nursing school. There's just way too much information. So I really encourage you to look at the big picture of the semester. Understand what's expected of you when, from which classes, so that you can come up with a plan. So you don't want to just plan. So my recommendation then is you've got everything, all your deadlines laid out. So that's, you know, step 1. So cheers to step 1, you know, go grab a coffee, go give yourself a little reward, and then come back. You're not done. We've got to not only plan, we've got to plan also when you're going to study and when you're going to write papers and complete assignments. So, okay, this sounds ridiculous. I'm planning my semester down to a T. Yes, you absolutely are. If you want to avoid being overwhelmed in nursing school, this is the way to do it. preparing and planning when you're going to study, because there's so much information to study and know. If you don't have a plan, you're going to find yourself just not having time to study what you need to before tests. So you're going to allocate times to study. Okay, I know on this day I'm going to have an exam, a large exam, but I have a paper due the day before. Or I also have a paper due that same day, and I don't want to be writing that paper when I could be studying for that exam. So I'm going to make it so I write the paper a couple weeks before, and then I can touch base in the office hours of my professor. So you want to study, allocate boxes specifically during the week when you're going to study. But don't just plan when you'll study. Plan specifically what you will study. Divide reading assignments into manageable chunks and allocate time to really process that information mentally and take notes. If you do this ahead of time, you will save precious time throughout the week. And what I mean by this is, I kind of do this too in my non-nursing school life too, is I plan, let's plan when you're going to study, meaning if you wrote down, I'm going to study for 2 hours on this day, and you spend the first 30 minutes of that getting organized and figuring out what you're going to study, you're wasting precious time rather than sitting down, looking at your calendar. I am studying chapter 2 and I'm reading chapter 2 and making notes on that. Boom, open chapter 2 and you're in it, as opposed to, oh, what's this exam over? What have I already looked at? What am I having trouble with? And you're taking time to figure out what to study, and that's eating up your study time. You want to plan what you're going to study specifically so that when you sit down to do it, you know exactly what to do and you're not wasting time figuring it out. Because it really adds up. While it may seem like 10, 20 minutes, 30 minutes here and there, that really, really adds up. So plan those study times and also plan what you're going to study during them. All right. Whew. Are you tired yet? So while you were looking at this whole, I've got everything charted out into my assignment book or your calendar or whatever you're using, you want to again plan like you're going to have tons of exams at once, but study for one at a time. So you're going to plan not only when you'll study, but what you'll study. But then when you're going to allocate time to study. So I have an exam on Friday. So I'm going to make sure, maybe the weekend before I read blank. And then Monday I read blank. And Tuesday I try to mentally process blank. Wednesday I make notes and a mind map. And Thursday I'm really just reviewing. And maybe you're only studying an hour or two each day, which adds up to quite a bit. And that will encourage you much better retention and memory if you're studying it in various ways in small chunks over a week rather than 8 hours the day before. It's how our brains work and retain information a lot better that way. So it's important when you do sit down to study something that you focus solely on that. The one thing that I found until I figured this method out, I would be studying for an exam on maybe cardiac surgery or something and understanding various cardiac surgeries, but I kind of had in the back of my head, oh man, I've got a med quiz in 2 days and I don't know anything. And so I would be kind of half distracted, worried about this med quiz when I'm trying to study cardiac surgery or whatever it was. So if you have it planned appropriately and you plan for multiple exams and multiple assignments, but you have a plan for your studying, it enables you to study more focused because you're not distracted and worried by all of these other things you have to address because you have allocated time to devote to it, if that makes sense. So I hope that helps. So, and then the next thing I want to encourage you to do is not just, this is what the first year of nursing school, I thought, I have an exam coming up. I just need to read the reading assignment and I'll be good to go. Right? That's how that works? No. In nursing school, it's not just reading this specific section. It's also understanding it. So you get this like basic level of, you read, and then you can kind of comprehend. But nursing school exams are not basic, do you understand this information, or definition, or whatever. They're higher level than that. They're application questions. They are analyzing questions. So it's not only asking you if you understand a definition or a basic concept. You actually need to, the questions typically ask you higher level, like applying them. Therefore, just reading the reading assignment is not going to cut it. You have got to be able to read your reading assignment, but then also process that information, be able to explain it to somebody else. Basically, understanding the concept and applying it is how you're going to pass these tests. You can't, that was my big, because in all my prereq classes, they were questions that were basically like, do you understand this material? Or do you understand what blank is? And it was very basic, very straightforward. Did you do the reading assignment or not? But in nursing school, it's not only did you do the reading assignment, did you understand what you were reading? Did you understand big picture how this affects a patient, how this affects your patient care? So it's important that we're not allocating time just to read the reading assignment, but we're also allocating time to understand and apply the reading assignment. Do not miss that step, because you'll leave nursing exams feeling frustrated and feeling like, man, like that was so far over my head. But it's like, yeah, you checked off that you read the reading assignment, but did you understand the reading assignment? So don't just memorize, like COPD patients typically have lower baseline oxygen saturation, but understand and learn why this is the case. Be able to verbalize it to somebody else, and think about how I'd explain it to somebody else, and think about how that would impact my patient care. Oh, okay, so if my COPD patient typically has like an 88 to 92% oxygen saturation, all right, so that might mean that I need to change my alarms on my monitor, or I don't need to alert the doctor when I see an 88 oxygen saturation status, because that's normal for them. So I don't need to alert the physician. I need to let my CNAs know not to, freak out when they see that or whatever. So I think that is a way that can really help you understand what they're asking, and it enables you to plan your studying better, plan your time better, so that you're not as overwhelmed. You trust, I have the time allocated to not only read this, but also understand this. And it's important that you understand how you read and how you learn and retain information, and do that. Just because your friend listens to the lecture 3 times over before taking a test doesn't mean that's going to work for you. I'm not an auditory learner personally, so listening to a lecture was not going to do anything for me. I had to read the reading assignment, take my own notes, and then kind of do a mind map kind of thing. And I was a little bit more of a person that had to read and write things out and then work through them and take my own notes. And that's what helped me. But I felt like I wasn't as smart if I didn't compare to my study styles to the smarter people in the room. But, you just got to do what you got to do, what's best for you, if that makes sense. Another aspect of this that I'm sure you have heard before, but I'm going to go ahead and say it because I know it's important, is to eat well, sleep well, and exercise. It is really hard to succeed when you're constantly exhausted, merely being kept awake by the grace of Red Bull and sustained by maybe some Easy Mac or some Swiss cake rolls. I can't say I didn't do that in nursing school, but although I don't like Red Bull. But should you plan appropriately, though? And that means kind of meticulously, and maybe a lot more regimented than you're used to. But doing that will enable you to not live in this constant state of being overwhelmed and exhausted, because you can trust the study schedule that you created. And maybe the first semester you do this, you'll learn a few things about the way you manage time, the way maybe you can study at home and what times would be best, and then you kind of tweak it for the next semester and it gets better. There's no like, oh, I didn't do it perfectly, so I can't do it again. Like, no, you'll learn as you go. Learn what's best for you, your living environment, your life commitments. If you are doing that, it enables you to not be constantly exhausted and overwhelmed, so that you can allow adequate time to sleep, and maybe you can budget appropriately so that you can eat well. And that was one of the things that was really important to me. I am one of those people that I love sleep. I love it. I love naps. I like to go to bed early. So whenever I would have study, planning my study, I always had it. So I was done studying by 10 o'clock. So I could hop in the shower and then relax, give myself some time to unwind. I was not falling asleep at my desk because I need good sleep. And to me, it was like, if I'm not sleeping well, then, I'm not going to retain information anyway. So if you really are diligent with this kind of stuff, it can really pay off. It's kind of frustrating to do throughout the semester, but I guarantee you it is less frustrating than being constantly overwhelmed and constantly behind. So let me go through those real quick. My little tips here is to lay out what's expected of you from all of your classes at the beginning. Do not just plan when you'll study, but plan what you will study. Plan for multiple exams, but study for one at a time. And when I say that, I mean within your study session, okay? So when you're studying something, focus on only that. Focus on understanding and applying concepts, not just finishing reading assignments. And eat well, sleep well, and exercise. So I hope this has been kind of helpful for you. What we've done at NRSNG is kind of created this little nursing school academy to help with test prep strategies and resources. So if you want to check that out, please feel free. It's at nrsng.com/academy. That is nrsng.com/academy, ACADEMY. We have so many resources in there for you to help you not only get through nursing school, but understand it more, get more out of it. So I hope that will be helpful to you. I hope you go ahead and check it out. And you can sign up for a free trial just to check out all the resources we have. And if you don't like it, then just cancel. So thank you so much for listening. I hope this helps, and stay well.
All right. I hope that was helpful today, guys. I hope that gave you some motivation, some inspiration to go out and to be your best self, to go out and to become the nurse that you want to be, to make a difference, and to do the best work that you can. Listen, we're here to help you along your way. At NRSNG.com, our goal is to give you tools and confidence to help you in nursing school, on the NCLEX, and in life. One of those tools we created is our Friday Freebies, these weekly PDF cheat sheets that you can refer to on the clinical floor, in the classroom, and just throughout your entire career as a nurse. To get these cheat sheets, head over to nrsng.com/freebies. That's nrsng.com/freebies. You guys, if you need anything, we're here for you. You can reach out to us on social media or via email at contact@nrsng.com. We want you to succeed. We want to help you along the way. We're here to hold your hand. We're here to give you the tools, the confidence that you need to achieve success in this journey to nurse. All right, so you guys know what time it is now. It's time to go out and be your best self today. Happy nursing.